Well, welcome to Conscious Gatherers. Tonight's episode is 116, and today's date is March 19th, 2024. So happy solstice to you all. My name is Beverly Thompson, and I'm with
Royce, A.J. Royce.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. All right, tonight's episode is it's going to be a combination of a few things, and we'll see, it'll come together.
That's a good way to put it.
It always does. So, questioning that before we started because of some of the insights that we received. And to bring those up to date that really have not listened to all of our podcasts, because I forget to even mention this, and that is we give out our insights. So when we go into our meditations, we receive messages. And so it's usually from our higher self or some other beings that may come in on occasion. And those that are very benevolent beings is the only thing that we allow in. That's good, the best for humanity in this earth. So that's always a part of us. Otherwise, we won't talk to them.
Yeah, and we have been approached by malevolent beings, and we won't have any part of it.
No, and we know it by our gut feel.
That's right. We use our discernment, just like we ask you guys to do.
Yeah.
Use your discernment with all that you hear, see, everything.
So, good. Because that's going to comes up in one of the things I want to share about using discernment because of what's coming, what's been here actually, but coming forth and more openly. So we'll get to that in just a bit. And but I think it's going to be very exciting for us because I tell you what, things are opening up, and that is the earth, other type of beings. Are making themselves known, and I'll discuss that in just a moment. And it goes into everything that we're going through right now as we're going through these, I think last time I called it topsy-turvy times, turbulent, we may call it turbulent times, but when you start really looking at it, it's like, wow, look what's going on, and a lot of pointing the fingers. And I think that's all part of it because we're realizing that we can be on both sides of those fingers, at the same time.
Yeah, and when things go funky, as they have been for a long time now on the earth, it has to be rectified. And so you have to see it in order for things to be rectified. You have to see what needs to be rectified.
Yeah, because we don't realize all the programs that we have been living through under, whatever you want to call it. But we chose to come here. We are here at this, and all of you are all here for this reason, to bring this earth into a more, use the word ascended state of being, this earth, and all of us that live on this earth. And actually below the earth and in the skies. So it's really all of the above. So it's really so interesting to start looking at it, and Royce and I were talking earlier. You step back and you start observing everything that we have been through, and realizing just the last few years, and it's like, wow, and how we understand things now, and where we used to be.
Yeah, and you start understanding the part that you're playing in all of it, and kudos to everyone who is playing a part in this unraveling that we're going through. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. But one thing I wrote down, because I don't know if you even know I wrote this down, it says we don't fit in a body. Mm-hmm. And even though we have these physical vehicles that we operate, so we can operate on this plane of existence, we're so much more powerful and bigger than that. And then we're merging that within our consciousness and even our bodies itself. So it's like, that's the big wow, when you really start looking at it. So there's no hierarchy, upper, lower, any of that kind of stuff. Everybody goes on at their own rate, because everybody has their own path. But as we're noticing more and more is coming up for each of us to take a look at, because we've been, the bad guy, if you want to call it as such, the bad guys and the good guys. And we've played different roles throughout our lives and for the experience of it. And so we're coming into that balance. And so a lot of things are in our face. And I think that's why all this, I'm not going to call it a shit show's going on around the world. And as I said, it really is that. Okay, I don't think.
Yeah, she went there.
That's the way it is. All right. Well, I asked a question the other day, and and in the last couple episodes, some of the insights that we were sharing had to do with doors. Here we are with doors again. So I asked the question the other day about doors and want a little more explanation. So there's a little exercise for all of you, and then I'll tell you what I received. Okay, in your mind's eye, see a door, and open that door and just stand inside, but look out the door. And you can do this, do it in a matter of seconds as I'm talking to you. So what do you see? Just look around, what do you see? Okay, got it? Now, move in closer in your mind's eye, like using a telescope, for instance. And then take a look around again. What do you see? So it can be anything, whatever. All right. And I'm going to tell you what I experienced. All right. As I opened the door, I saw green grasses, then trees, and then beyond that was a lake. Just a nice scene, calm, and much, not anything different than looking out a window here, but with the lake, the lake in the view. And then when I moved in closer, I noticed the flowers in the woods, as I'm seeing today, because it's where we're at. The daffodils have been in bloom, and some of the violets and various other things are in bloom in the forest. And so I was seeing that. And I thought, okay, basically that's what I'm seeing today. And then when I said that, the answer was precisely. I thought, well, that was interesting. Precisely. So, and then I was, then here's what came through. They said, contemplate your present reality. And then I said, even with the beautiful woods, there is or are people oblivious to this beauty. They don't seem to care. And the answer was, they will. This is your future, extolling the beauty around you. So there you go. That was mine. And then Royce, on your way over here.
Yeah, on my way over here, I had been singing, trying to limber up my voice some, and then I started talking to the trees and the bushes, and I said that I notice you, and I know it. I've been a little preoccupied, but I notice how beautiful you are, and I am very grateful that you're there, and that you're so beautifully showy with your blossoms and the leaves coming out. And then Bev told me about that, and it's like we get the same thing in different ways.
We certainly do. So, So I thought that was a pretty interesting way of looking at life and the doors that were opening. And it's like, hey, what do we want to see out there? What's going to feed us, and what's interesting? Is it the beauty of the earth? Beauty of the earth, and obvious to me, that is part of it. Realizing this shining star that we're standing on. And the more that we start seeing the beauty, the more that beauty is showing up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden all that ugliness starts fading away, and people start looking around and like, wow.
Yeah, it's like what you focus on.
Mm-hmm. And then everything then changes from that point.
Yeah, because of the, that magnetic force and magnification. So becomes more.
It does, yeah. So there you go. It's a good one to even ask other people and see what they see when they open a door. And don't give them any hints, anything like that. Just say, "What do you see?" And they're going to see all kinds of different things. So
no wrong answers.
there are not. They are not. All right. I'm going to share this. It was basically a one or two liner here, but I thought it was pretty interesting, or think it's interesting. They said there's going to be a changing of the guard. That was an interesting word, guard. And they said, however, there soon will be no need for a guard. So that's where we're going in this world. So it's us, working together as community, sharing, and so many different ways. I think it's just going to be absolutely beautiful. I really do see that.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Royce,
yes,
I would love for you to share what you received earlier today, and then then we're going to share some other things that we got a little later today.
Okie dokie. Here's what I got. It is a pivotal time upon the earth. It is a time when the natural growth mechanisms of the planet are available to assist in our transition to a more suitable form of existence. That form of existence is one of more light and raised vibrations. Some would call this the time of the Great Divide, but it only has that appearance in the beginning phase. Next comes the dissolution of the matrix of deceit and spiritual darkness. The house of darkness falls hard, and those who had dwelt within it will be like zombies at first. They will need assistance recalibrating to the frequencies of light. Their entire beings have been so infiltrated and overwhelmed with darkness that they are blind, deaf, and dumb, empty shells wandering upon the earth, acting out in ways that would normally be appalling to them. Peace, love, and nurturing is what they will be in need of during these coming days when the darkness that has overtaken them will be shut off. Please have mercy on those who have been deceived, for their deceit is the beacon of light which is bringing about the great change for us all. The earth is on the cusp of an explosion of light that many have come to witness. Watch and be amazed.
Oh.
So, a beautiful time coming.
It really is. And a lot of us have been pretty hard on those that have been doing some very nefarious deeds.
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty unbelievable.
Yes.
And but in many ways they don't feel that. Otherwise they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, when you're deceived, you don't know you're deceived.
Yeah.
Because you're deceived.
And so when that's taken away, and you mentioned the word zombie, it's kind of interesting because zombies were really popular, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I could never get into them, but but I was like, why is this coming up? So that might be a precursor to what's happening, and that they won't know where to go, and it's for us to help them out, and the light is shining, and for them to see it, and then they'll be releasing. That's going to be tough.
Yeah. Can you imagine being in that state of being so deceived and so overwhelmed by darkness that you're acting out in all of these horrendous ways? and then all of a sudden to have the light turned on and to realize what it is that you've taken part in, that would be quite horrible to handle. That would take a lot of help and a lot of integrating to try to make sense of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And many people won't make it through it, but even when they pass out of the physical body, because you don't die,
yeah,
it's still going to be a tough one to swallow for them, so to speak. And they're still going to need a lot of love to overcome some of the atrocities that happen with them involved in it. Because they're going to be able to feel that, what another has felt. And so even though it passes in seconds, then it's still tough to feel all of that. And then the life review is basically what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you're also shown, as part of your being, you're going to see the wonderful things that you've done. So you get a little bit of both. And it's like, okay, talking about that balance again.
Yeah.
But for those that have been deceived in the darkness, it's going to be a little tougher on them, I would think.
Yeah, I would. I'd find that very hard to handle.
Yeah. So it just bring out a lot of love, and mentioned nature earlier, and that always does help. So if you're depressed, that sort of thing, it's just you can sit against a tree. The tree is always a wonderful source of energy to help you balance your own body. But because a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff, because they're remembering a lot of things that happened in this lifetime or possibly other lifetimes. And so they need a lot of love.
It's hard when you have stuff shoved in your face, it's knowing that you have to own up to it.
And then release it best you can,
Yeah.
and then it's a process that you allow yourself to go through.
Yeah, a process. That's the big key, to know that it is a process, and it's going to take some internal work to go through it.
Yeah. So, and those that are going through it, listen to them, and a couple suggestions if you have them. If not, just let them express it. The more they express it, then they can see what's going on, and then they will always ask for assistance. And you can ask God, or which I call it the God within, because we're such powerful beings that we have that ability within us to start transmuting some of these negative things that have happened in our life, or things that we've done. It might be a little bit of both, mm-hmm. and to release them, and not to be back into the new birth.
Yes, and there's another factor to it too. When you're so overwhelmed by darkness, there are usually forces behind that darkness, and so to realize that you have been controlled to that degree, that's a tough pill to swallow. So, if you find yourself in that position, anger is going to come up. I can guarantee you that. Just try to deal with it the best way that you can, so that you can let it go, because it's only going to eat you alive from the inside out if you can't release whomever or whatever it was that had control over you.
Mm-hmm. If you need to scream, go ahead and scream.
Yeah, and be kind to yourself. If need be, forgive yourself for having been controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a choice too. So.
Definitely, but when you don't know it, and then all of a sudden you find out. And that's the ego part of ourselves. Like, how could I be? How come I couldn't see this?
Yes.
How come I could not realize this? And all of these things that we go through, and you're right, we do get angry.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, and like, how could I let this happen? And, the way of thinking. And as a small child, you may have been forced into something that is not comfortable, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's to forgive yourself, and then you start forgiving the other person because, they're going through something. And, but you may be the one that they're doing some not so nice things too. So, all right. But one thing I keep thinking of that helps me is to walk in nature and take a long walk. And if you're in a park or whatever, and you can, it's always nice to take somebody with you when you're hiking, by the way, because of whatever it may be, making sure you're safe. And just taking a walk and just getting some exercise, and you're releasing all that pent-up negative energy. And you start looking at all the beautiful things in the woods, and then it starts changing you. And you thought, oh, okay, I'm releasing this, and you can think of that. I release this, I'm done with it.
Yes, but I have something to add to that. If you do have somebody with you and you're trying to unload a bunch of pent-up stuff, if you can refrain from a lot of conversation that would be distracting you from what you're there for, it's hard to go within when you're in somebody else's company, because you start talking about this and that, and before long your time has passed and nothing got accomplished. So what I'm saying is that it's good to spend time by yourself too. But like Bev said, if you're going to be taking a hike, that's a little bit of a different thing. You need to think about your safety too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. That's sometimes I do. I prefer to take a walk by myself on occasion. Mm-hmm. And so I'm free. It is that freedom when you're doing that. Free to think and look around, or if you really I could go more within, even though I'm looking at the sky and looking at the grasses, looking at the trees and all of that, and appreciating the beauty.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that I noticed when I was writing my book, When the Night Comes Creeping, is that the more I was looking out there beyond, like up into the heavens, out into the stars, the more I found that I was looking back into myself. So the ancients, it said that they knew that to know yourself is to know the universe. And so that really brings that home. The more you look out there, the more you find that you're understanding more about yourself.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Certainly.
Well, that does take me to the next thing I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
And that is, and then then you'll finish up. But anyway, here's an insight that I received actually not long ago, like an hour ago. So anyway, I heard, close encounters of the third kind. Mm-hmm. So I asked Royce, I said, do you get anything like that? She goes, well, no. But there are some similarities.
As you went further, there are some big similarities.
So anyway, talking about looking up into the sky. So this is a good segue into that. So, okay, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I think many of you listening may remember that movie. And that was a pretty incredible movie with Richard Dreyfuss many years ago. And I assume you can still watch it. But even though it's old, but it really hit with me back. And I think I've seen it quite a few times.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, when I was waking up, I call waking up, and I wanted to move out of Illinois and didn't know where we wanted to go. In fact, we had a young family, that sort of thing. But it was so, what's the right word? Walk it off, the energy of it, because I I want to move, I don't know where. It was almost an overwhelming feeling of the need to move. So I was like, wow, which reminds me of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
Those that have seen the movie may remember Richard Dreyfuss would be sitting there eating his food, and his wife made mashed potatoes, and then he made a hill out of the mashed potatoes, which looked like one of the
it looked like Devil's Tower,
yeah.
which is the vision that he was shown due to the visitation.
Yes.
So he tried to mimic it.
Yeah, but he didn't know
mashed potatoes.
He didn't know it at the time what it was all about, and his wife thought he was crazy, if I recall correctly. So
it meant something to him.
It meant something. So this is how that overwhelming feeling, like, what is it, So it brought me down to where I'm at today. So now I know I understand it so much more now. But whew, what a strong feeling that was. All right, I'm going to go back to the rest of what I received today. Excuse me. All right, many more space vehicles are coming into view. They come from your own military, inner Earth beings, as well as your space brothers and sisters. These sightings are becoming more prominent. We advise you to ask before going aboard any of these vehicles. Use your gut feel. If there is any hesitation, then do not go aboard. That's spaceships. Soon the space beings will start materializing before your eyes. A lot of this is already happening. As I've seen pictures and heard people talk about it, and actually been happening for years, but it seems like more so now. So anyway, all right, let me go back. Soon the space beings will start materializing before your eyes. Even those beings who look different, feel their energies. Many of them are warm and loving. If they feel repulsive, then any communication is not advisable. Always use discernment. In the days to come, there will be more open communication with many types of beings. There will be exchanges in technology and even culture. Eventually, it will be comfortable for most humans to accept this phenomena, and then the exchanges will be commonplace. We are the future, past, and present. That was it. So, even though we've shared with you on these podcasts some similar writings to our space brothers and sisters, as I call them, some are, I think a lot of the ships that we see are military, because we do have that technology. I think we understand we have technology at least 50 to 100 years ahead of what we think, those of us think we have, but I think we have a very advanced vehicles.
Yes.
So that, and then more is going to be shared. It's more that we are open. And a lot of these beings, may look human, and some of them may not. That you might feel their energy, even though at first they may look scary, but you feel their energy, and then they're not scary whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so you tune into that, and we are becoming more able to do that, to feel somebody, because some people were repulsed at, and some people were not. And so the same type of feeling, but pay attention to those feelings. All right, Royce, please.
Okay. This is what I got, and if you listen to both of them again, you'll be able to be able to tell that we were kind of coming at the same points, but from two totally different views. So it's funny how that happens, Be careful where you take root. Not all ground is fertile, and not all laws are just. The laws of nature are rooted in the balance. but the laws of man take time to find the balance. The scale tilts from one side to the other until its equilibrium is achieved. Therefore, weigh all the values of a thing before declaring it good or bad. Test the fruit of the tree before planting it in your fields, and prepare the soil to nourish the tree of righteous fruit before planting. We are as trees, readying ourselves to be planted so that we may yield good fruit. But the most lovely of trees will wither and die without proper nourishment. Be careful where you take root.
You got it. Be careful where you take that. To me, what Royce just shared, that you can see that on many different levels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just in your own life, you take a look at your friends, family, where you're living. I mean, all of that. Where you take your belief systems.
Yeah.
It's really more of that. Yeah, it's like where you take a root.
Yeah, it can apply to anything in your life, any facet of your life.
What you listen to.
Yeah, definitely what you listen to. What TV programming you decide to sit and listen to. You're taking all of that in, and a lot of the stuff that's on TV these days, the fruit of that is not very good.
Yeah.
It's not going to nourish you.
I don't listen to TV that much. I do like to watch basketball. I do. I admit to that, and I can get excited with that. But some of these shows, and I have grandchildren, and if their cartoons are on for a while, what comes from these cartoons, the vibration
not
or
very
whatever.
Funny. Not very funny.
Yeah, if you look at them, it's not funny, and and just even if you're not looking at them and you're hearing it, it grates on my nerves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I just only so much I can take, and I just said, hey, it's time to turn this off. They don't notice, and they are so planted in front of the TV at times, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think after a while they won't be able to do it either, because it's more that we raise our vibrations, that we're more that we will not be able to take that lower vibratory frequency.
Absolutely.
All right. Do you have any more to add to all of this?
I don't think so.
A lot to think about taking root and what that means in your lives. And you can look at that in so many different ways. Yes, looking up into the skies. There's a lot up there. Been a lot of chemtrailing lately. I do have noticed that.
Yeah.
And some of those chemicals that are being put upon us. But you know what? We have the ability to, you can take a look at those chemtrails and you can neutralize them.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts?
What's your thoughts? And our thoughts are so strong. We have that ability. So instead of like, oh God, I got to go indoors because these are, they're hurting me. Like, well, if they are, then do something about it.
Yeah.
And we have that ability. Do something about it versus complaining. It's making me sick. Well, okay, then what are you going to do about it? That's usually the comeback. What are you going to do about it? And so it's something to think about. But each of us have that capability, so use it. The more that we use it, the more that we get used to it.
Yeah, and we've have not been nurtured in such a way to realize how unlimited we are. We've put limits on everything. And so, perhaps it's time for us to turn that around.
Talk about old programs that we're moving out of. So it's all coming to a head, and I understand we're going to go through some turbulent times, but you can see why, because all this crap will come up into our faces until we realize what it is.
Yeah, we went to sleep for so long, and so here we are. Time to wake up.
Wake up time. Wake up time. If something doesn't sound right, then let it go. And if it comes back, then, let's take a look at this. So it's either let it go or take a look at it and then release it.
Yeah.
Or realize, have I been deceived? And a lot of us have been deceived. And we'll say, well, wait a minute, that's what I thought history taught us. Well, that history may not be correct. And so we're going to find out a new, so-called new history.
Yeah, we're an entire planet who has no idea what their history is. I'm talking about the history of the planet. How did we get started here? There's a lot to think about that people usually take it for granted. This and this and this happened, when that doesn't, 1 + 1 there does not equal 2. So when you start finding certain ruins and stuff clear across the planet that are the same structures, something's going on.
And quite advanced, by the way.
Quite advanced.
So, to me, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
And I know it scares some people. And they're like, wait a minute, where'd they go? Well, they left the planet for a while. But we're a planet of balance. And so we talked about that more than once in this podcast. So that's what we're coming to. So I'm excited. I'm very excited as we move along, because I just think it's going to be absolutely wonderful. So
we're heading.
It is.
We're
it is wonderful.
Into light.
We are.
More light within, more light around us. The planet itself is going to be bursting forth with light, an explosion of light.
Yeah, in my first book, I remember getting that the Earth will become known as the Star of On, O-N. It's like lights turned on. I'm not sure why they called it on, and maybe explain that in the book. I don't recall. But anyways, I just think it's a neat metaphor, because this light that is within each of us is coming out, that we can recognize and use. So use it. Open that door. See what you see through it.
Yes.
So that's what we started out on this podcast. Well, thank you all for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks, which is going to be April the 2nd. And, things are happening, guys. So, hang in there and, count your blessings, that's for sure.
I wanted to make mention of a dear friend of ours, a canine friend, who passed this past week. His name was Robbie, and what a beautiful, beautiful spirit he was, and still is, because I have seen him on the other side. We do not die. Of that I am sure. And, because life keeps going. And so our dear friend Robbie is enjoying himself, free of a body that wasn't serving him any longer. He taught us so much. And so I wanted to give appreciation to all the beings who have been here on this planet and who have stepped over to that other side of life. Thank you for having been here and for teaching us so much while you were here. I'm very grateful, and I'm very grateful to all of you who are still walking around in your human suits and your animal suits. Thank you so much for staying. I love you.
Thank you. And if you want to contact us, feel free. And the number, and just leave your name and your number and who you want to talk to. And that number is 864-999-3008. Do leave any comments if you want to share. on our YouTube channel page. And also, please go ahead and hit the like button. And we appreciate that. And you're free to share. There's that share button, and we appreciate that too. So we do this out of love because we care.
Yes, we do.
And we understand what's happening in this world, even though at times we do get surprised, but that's all part of it, and it's part of the excitement too. So anyway, we love you all. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here, as we said. All right, good night.
Good night.